we are going to dig into chapter 2, which is called Pre-Recording, Marketing Foundation, Email List, Text Message Club, and Social Media. Before you start recording, I still want you to set a marketing foundation so those elements are in place. So when you're done making your masterpiece, then you have platforms to share it with the world and with everyone. So there's no one else on this planet I could think of that I wanted more for this episode than today's guest. I'm so thrilled to introduce Ariel Hyatt. Welcome, Ariel.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be included.
Tell us about the power of email lists, collecting emails from fans.
No one really could say it better than you, having a front row seat to watching Amanda Palmer. But for anyone who doesn't know that story, the brief summary is they collected emails as if their lives depended on it. And when you can have that mindset and when you can do that, and there's many artists that we have examples of that have done it and have done it well, what I see, especially now that we're sitting years outside of what the halo effect of having a large mailing list does, the one of the many things that happened for Amanda Palmer is she managed to raise $1 million in her crowdfunding campaign. And there's examples like this that are not as grandiose, but are just as important to understand. Your mailing list is yours. Facebook is not yours. Instagram is not yours. TikTok is not yours. None of that stuff is yours. Your mailing list is yours. Your mailing list is the only place where you can ask for money, ask for sales, ask for anything, and get it, period.
You talked about text message collection, which is becoming very common as well. So tell us your thoughts on that.
Obviously, the small screen in your pocket is the one that captivates all of us, right? Half of us cannot move from room to room in our own homes without bringing our bloody phones. The feeling of panic that ensues when you think you've lost or misplaced your cell phone. Think about that. That's really powerful.
Technology companies are the most valuable companies in the world. Why? Because they have all our data. And so for us as musicians and music industry people, we have no problem giving away that fan, the fan email address, the fan location, the fan mobile phone number to Spotify, to Facebook, to Apple, to pretty much anyone who's not the artist. So that's what we're getting at here, is communicating directly with your fans via email, via text message.
Post on all your channels and post often and post well and choose some themes so that you're not only talking about your music and you've got something interesting that's a peek behind the curtain.
Okay, so I'm an artist and Snapchat sounds like torture to me. Do I have to be on it?
No.
Okay. And what about TikTok?
No. Here's the thing. If it feels like torture, don't do it.
You and I are all about authenticity with this stuff. And so if you're forcing yourself to be on Snapchat, then it's probably not going to connect with people.
Right. Exactly. And you're not going to want to do it if you feel like you're taking your medicine every time you go on it. That's not helpful.
Exactly. But the main thing I'm talking about here, which on one hand, I feel like we rarely see, is if you don't have, your social media platforms in place, and we're talking about, where you're performing well, where the fans are, for your music, what works for you. To me, it feels like all artists at least need to be on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So what I'm talking about here, and again, I rarely see this, and I'm sure it's the case with you, is okay, chapter 1 is get your art together. You have your songs, you have your plan, but I'm just saying, set up, your social media account. Maybe it's a new project, right? Maybe it's a new band, whatever. Just get that stuff in place, get your email list in place, get your text club in place, because you're going to be so excited when you come out of the studio you need these channels to share with people, which we'll get into. But the other thing I'm suggesting, which I'm going to use the word hate, most artists hate, is if you do feel moved to connect at any point while you're in the studio, which could be just like a teaser photo of like a drum set or something. It's like, you don't have to be like, damn, this is a new band. Like I have to set up a new thing. So I guess my point is, any thoughts on engaging with fans during the recording process?
Yes, it's a very fruitful time to engage with your fans. Now, of course, it takes a little bit of thinking, because when you're in your recording process, you might not be thinking of, how can I share this with the world, because it's private and it's intimate. But what you absolutely should be doing is running your iPhone in your studio, recording some moments, even if you can, get a friend to come and shoot while you're recording. I think all of that is important and valuable, so that when you're going to lead into the marketing of the forthcoming thing that you are recording, you actually have some behind the scenes footage. And to go into the studio, if you are going into a studio with an objective eye, can be difficult. So bringing someone, which is a little bit hard. I know a lot of us just make music in our bedrooms or kitchens or houses somewhere, but just look around and think, okay, what could I take a quick video of? If I've got my recording software open, could I grab some screenshots of what my computer looks like? Or can I take a photo of me in the vocal booth, even if you made the vocal booth and it's in your kitchen and it's, it's possible. So you should absolutely be capturing the journey of creating the music. I think also fans love a peep behind the hood. So thinking about, what stories can I tell about each song? Who is playing on it? Who is producing it? What was the inspiration? Why did you write it? All of those things are interesting and can become fodder for your newsletter, for your texts, for your social media. And so the creation of the song, the story behind the song, who collaborated with you, all of those things become more pieces for you to use when marketing. So you absolutely do want to take fans on a journey of the creation of the song. I often think back to an artist that we represented, and I can't believe I don't remember his name right now, but we were helping him with his social media, and we were helping him, create interesting posts around the recording and creation of his music. And there was a throwaway post that he almost didn't share with us. And it was his waste paper basket of the lyrics that he was writing one day. He kept crumpling up pieces of paper and throwing them at the garbage bin. And so the photo was just a garbage can with like a ton of crumpled up pieces of paper. And that ended up being his most commented on photograph of the year, because he wrote a really poignant caption with it about songwriting is not easy, and sometimes the lyrics don't just come to you, and here I am on my 33rd draft of this track. And he told the honest story about it, which is sometimes better than a cute filter of yourself looking hot at the recording booth, so just thinking about how can you take your fans on a journey, even if it's to the trash can, that can be really poignant for your fan base.
Wow, I love that. And if you are setting up a vocal booth in your kitchen, that sounds like social media gold to me as well. So one thing I talk about in this book is monetizing from day one. I don't know if we quite say it like that enough. I did that with this book. I put up a pre-order when I was halfway done writing it, thinking okay, I'm halfway, I'll definitely finish this. And we were able to recoup this book before its release. So I think that's also a mentality to think about. If you are spending money, on recording, it's can you recoup before release? I think you should be monetizing your music from day one. And again, I did that with this book, and people are, this book's been out coming up on a year, and people are still buying those high-end packages. So any thoughts on building a pre-order?
Again, your newsletter list is where that is going to happen. I think that something happens with a lot of artists that they don't realize that fans may not be aware of just how little money you actually get from Spotify and from all these DSPs. I think educating your fans during your pre-save campaign is a smart thing to do. We have an artist named Lo Marie from Madison.
Oh, sorry. She just, Lo Marie just played I Voted. Shout out to Wisconsin.
She's totally amazing. I love her. She did something very cool where she asks the audience, not every show, but once in a while, how much money do you think I make from Spotify? And this is an artist that works consistently and plays out, well, not as much now because of the pandemic, but this is a working artist who plays, the majority of her money comes from live shows. But when we did her strategy and her marketing plan with her, there was a huge issue in her capturing of the emails because she had all these standing gigs. So she started getting really smart about this, and she started just asking her fan base, hey, how much money do you think I make, from Spotify? Just shout it out, because she plays a lot of bars and clubs and places where you can have conversations with your audience. Totally. And people were shouting about $10,000 a year, $5,000 a year. And she was well, actually it's $100 a year or less. And her fans were shocked to hear this news. So educating your fan about not only to make enticing and interesting things during your campaign, but to also explain hey, the $5 that you're going to give me every month on Patreon is more money that I'm going to get from Spotify, most probably, if you're an independent artist and you're getting just a couple thousand spins on Spotify organically, right? And so explaining and educating your fan base on how far even a $3, $5 per month give means to you can make a profound difference.